Thanks for joining our webinar this morning. My name is Melissa Crouch. I am the Director of Marketing over at Infused Innovations. Today we'll be chatting about a topic that's very relevant to so many of us right now. With our stay-at-home orders, many of us are working remotely from home. And to the parents listening out there, including myself, having to homeschool our younger children, we are all so intimately aware of the difficulties of remote collaboration for online learning. I have a background in education, and prior to my marketing job here with Infused Innovations, I taught full-time for various colleges in the San Diego area, and even now, I continue to teach a class on the side because I really enjoy teaching. For years, I would have to run to the printing room, print out pamphlets and exams, and then rush over to my classes carrying hundreds of papers. To make matters worse, I always felt horrible about the environmental impact of printing hundreds of papers every semester. And if I'm one teacher, imagine the collective impact there. But now, with the use of technology, we can finally digitally transform the education industry, in particular, the classroom. Not only is this option better for the environment, but it makes for a smoother transition during times like these, as we're in a pandemic and must work and learn remotely from home. And now that we're living in the age of working, teaching, and learning from home, this digital transformation in the classroom is all the more important. I have Kevin Martins from Microsoft with me today, who is an architect who specializes in the education industry and helps school systems from K through 12 to higher education across the country realize the potential into what's possible today. So, Kevin, tell me how Microsoft can assist school systems as they're now gearing up to go back to school this fall.
Hey, Melissa, and thank you for having me on today. I really appreciate the time. And yes, absolutely. When you think about Microsoft and Office 365 and that many school systems already have Microsoft 365, that means they also have two other areas that are included with most versions of Office 365, which is the OneNote application as well as Microsoft Teams. So let's focus on Microsoft OneNote for just a few minutes. When I think about OneNote, it's a great note-taking tool. It's a great way to where I document all of my meetings, all my notes, all my task items, everything. Mm-hmm. And I've used it for over 10 years. It is a phenomenal product that I know a lot of people, a lot of my colleagues, and a lot of my friends also use at work. It's a great way to stay organized. But when I think about OneNote, it's really the power of the cloud that comes into play. So if I write things into OneNote on one computer, it syncs with the cloud. So it automatically shows up on my iPad or iPhone, or if I have an Android device or a Mac device, it's always there because it's always syncing around everywhere. So I always see what I've typed in anywhere I go. But when it comes to OneNote and the power of the cloud, I'm talking about it right now from just my perspective, just me using it. But let's take that into the EDU space for a moment. Okay, so when we think about OneNote and the classroom, I go back to your example, Melissa, where you're constantly photocopying different assignments and so forth, and getting those ready to hand out to all of your students, and you're running back and forth and so on and so forth. What if we use OneNote to digitize that? What if we set up OneNote where you can place those assignments into an area of OneNote for a particular class, and all of the students can then grab that, a copy of that, and use it as their own. Maybe the assignment is to, hey, review this PDF that you put into the OneNote. The student downloads it, they review it, and they write up a summary about it. And then they hand it back in, again, through the OneNote. Oh, and then you can actually pull that up, each student's assignment that they turned in on OneNote. You could take a Surface Pen, for example, and maybe change the color to red. So you have like a red pen that you're using to handwrite notes on the screen on a tablet.
Very cool.
And make it more personable. And then send it back to them with an A+ on it, of course, right? Or some notes for improvement if it's just an A-, right? But when we think about OneNote in the classroom, it's very, very easy to set up for a teacher. We have a lot of training out there on how to do that. It takes just a few minutes to do. So just real quick, the interface that you would use, you'd go into your Microsoft Office 365 account for education, and you would go into the OneNote area, and you would say, hey, I want to create a new OneNote. And this is a OneNote for the classroom. So in there, it would create, maybe it's for like a Biology 101 course or an Algebra 1 course. Maybe it's for higher ed or a sixth grade class, whatever it may be. You define all the students that are in there using their accounts that are predefined in the tenant that's built for your school. Okay, so then OneNote is going to create you three areas. One is a collaboration space where teachers and students can work together and everyone can edit. This is really good for group work and sharing content and so forth. And then there's the second area is the content library. And that's where the teacher can enter in or post the assignments for the day where that teacher can read and write to it, but the students can only read from it and pull things out from it. And then there's a student area, and that's a shared area that's private, only between the student and the teacher. So as the student enters in their notes or asks questions or turns back in assignments, it's only between the student and the teacher. It's super easy to set up. You can set up one of those OneNotes in about 5 minutes. And we, like I said, we do have a lot of great training on how to do that.
Oh, yeah. And people love simple and easy. So 5 minutes. Great.
Right.
This is all incredible. I think you've sold us all. Now, I know that there may be some concern over whether this type of classroom leaves particular students who have different needs in the dust. As anyone would after teaching for 5 years plus, you really see the diversity that exists in the classroom. There's not one student that's alike. So, some are faster readers than others. Some don't speak English as their native language. Some have hearing or vision impairments. So, Kevin, are there product features that are in Teams that address these and similar issues?
Absolutely. So not just in Teams, but across most of the products in Microsoft 365, we have accessibility features built into the products, right? And Teams and OneNote being just two of those. So I'll highlight just a few of the many, right? So you mentioned, vision impairments or hearing impairments. When we think about other types of learning disabilities, such as if I'm dyslexic, I may need a bit of extra assistance with my reading, right? Well, if we're all virtual, it's a little bit harder to do. So built into Microsoft OneNote, for example, there's something called the immersive reader. It's not extra. It's just built in. It comes with the product. You just have to turn it on. Well, the immersive reader, it actually goes through and it highlights words as you read them, keeping your eye focused on the word that you're to read. And it's actually been shown to improve the reading skills of those with learning disabilities. So it's not just the immersive reader. There's other things such as what if, Melissa, you were teaching a class and a student in that class did not have English as their native language? Well, and you and I naturally and natively, we speak very fast in English, right? But that person may need a little bit of extra help. So there's something called the translation feature. Well, let me step back. There's actually something else called closed captioning, right? So in a Teams presentation where maybe OneNote is being shown, right, or anything else, whatever is being said in English or in up to 12 other languages can actually be closed captioned on the screen for anyone else to see and read at the same time. And if it's in one of 12 different languages as the input, English being the input here in this example, you can actually have it output to up to 64 different languages.
Wow.
And that's live. Yeah, it's incredible. It's live. It's real time. I call it the universal translator in Star Trek for those Star Trek out there, right? It's very, very live. It's very, very accurate. You're not like a minute behind in what was being said and what's being translated. It's near real time, and it's pretty darn good. It's pretty amazing to watch.
Yeah.
So there's just a couple of the accessibility features that are out there.
Very cool. And the fact that it's in real time is incredible because it's very inclusive to those students. They're in the moment with the class. They're able to ask real-time questions, and that's really important.
Absolutely. Yes.
Wow. Okay. So these are very useful tools that could help so many students that are struggling with basic online systems that schools are currently using and are not really helping them with their classwork, their education, remote learning. I think any leader in the education industry, whether you're a teacher, a teacher's assistant, the principal, or even the chair of your college, it's really our job right now to be having these conversations about how we can best serve our students. And this really is a tough time for people in school right now, and it doesn't have to be so hard. As someone who uses Microsoft Teams, currently in my job now, and OneNote every day for work, it has relieved me of the inherent technological stress that's added when working or learning virtually. The only real way to see this in action is to experience it for yourself. Infused Innovations is offering a no-cost customer immersion experience with a focus on Office 365 use in the classrooms. We bring all of the demonstration gear, set everything up, and then walk you through what it's like to learn in this type of digital environment. If this is something your school or your classroom could benefit from, which, let's face it, I think all classrooms are in need of a tool like this right now, please reach out to us at Infused Innovations. We would love to set up a meeting with you to help you figure out how we can best serve your school and your students. It was a pleasure chatting with you as always, Kevin, and I appreciate you coming on to chat with us about these incredible Microsoft tools that can help support our teachers and students during this time and even beyond that.
Hey, thank you very much.
If you'd like to know more about Microsoft Education, Teams, and OneNote, or how we can help support you in your educational journey, head over to infusedinnovations.com or email us at info@infusedinnovations.com. Thanks for stopping by.